Hey everyone, Benjamin here, and today I'm going to run you through building this nice overgrown cottage with a little tower and a garden out front. I actually don't know what it looks like at this point, so I hope it looks really nice. But I'm going to run you through the thought process of building this, all the different texturing and that kind of things, all the different steps that go into making a build like this. So let's get started. First of all, I cannot emphasize enough the importance of planning. There is nothing worse when you started a build and you actually go into it and there's not enough space in the interior, or like the width of something is odd rather than even, which means you can't do what you want. You wanted a double door, but it's not even, so you can't have a double door, you gotta have a single door instead. Blah, 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 blah. Planning is important, and I think one of the best ways to do that is just to get yourself on a little pixel art website. I'm using pixel art there, and that it can kind of give you a bird's eye view when you're planning. So I've done the planning already because I actually recorded this and then realized my mic wasn't recording, so I had to go back. But I originally planned for a little 3x3 area, and that's the inside of my tower, that's the interior, and then that's a little overhang. And then I was going to do something along the lines of that. But actually, I don't think that looks too good anymore. So after playing around for a bit, you might not want to follow this exactly, you might want to do something slightly different. But that was like the original plan I had there. But once you play around with it a bit, I actually ended up coming up with this and having a building around there. The tower is much larger. These little red bits, like little flower pots out front, a garden area, like a window there, and a pathway out front. So just play around with it a bit. Really think about the different things you're going to want. I've even planned out a bit of an interior here with different rooms and hallways. And just really think about before you go into building. I mean, it's fine when you start building because you can start building, realize something's wrong, and destroy it and start again. That's not a problem. You can always realize, oh, this isn't quite the right width, they're not quite length, and you're going to reach some of that. You're going to have some of that no matter what. But really, if you plan ahead, then you should hopefully at least have a better idea. And, I wanted this originally, and now I have this. And this is much better, it's much more developed, and it kind of gave me a better idea of what I actually want to build. So planning, very important, especially if you're wanting to make something specific like a replica of something. It's very important. As boring as it is, it's important. So now I've got my little plan on a second monitor up above me. You might not have that luxury, but I do. And so I'm going to start very simply. I've got a bit of a block palette here. I knew I wanted to build it out of cobblestone, and I wanted to go for that kind of overgrown aesthetic. And that overgrown aesthetic is what led me to mossy cobblestone, some leaves, moss, those kind of green blocks. And then I just gathered some things similar to cobblestone, like your andesite and your tuff. It's a similar color, slightly different textures, which when you're texturing it can make it look a lot more interesting. But I'll get into that more later. So I'm first going to build my base. There we go, now I've got my little base made out so I can see how big the tower's going to be. The tower's actually going to be a bit bigger than I thought looking at it here, but that's fine by me, and I can see the rest of the building and how that is going to be laid out itself there. And now's a good example where planning doesn't always go exactly as you'd like it, and you think, maybe I want to change it a bit. And so, I am actually going to make this a bit taller here, because I think that will look a bit nicer, maybe make the proportions a bit better. Yeah! It's only a slight change, but definitely a welcomed one. So now, just make it a bit taller. There we go, it's a bit taller now. For practicality, you'd usually go for about 3 high on the interior, but I decided might just go for 4, just seeing as I'm going for aesthetics more than practicality. I am going to make the tower a bit taller, but good base. I am going to have a bit of a raised roof anyway. Again, I got the idea in my head. I've planned out the bird's eye view, but I got way more in my head. So now, sort of some of the details. For example, the door, and then obviously the interior. If I'm going to have at least a 3 high interior, obviously for practicality. You need to think of how this tower is going to open up to the inside. And one thing I do want is a bit of a staircase going upwards within the tower. And so I might not actually include these corners. Oops. And instead, although again the inside of that looks a bit, no, that looks fine. And then I can have my window as planned in there. And that opens up perfectly fine. So now I'm going to work on making the tower a bit taller and continue from there. Right, there we go, that's a bit taller there. And we could move on to the texturing now, but I think I'm going to move on to the roof. I'm going to do the roof of the tower first, because that's going to be easier. So looking for a bit of a block palette here, I am wanting to go for wood. And so I'm going to take some of these blocks here. Of course, do experiment with different styles and different things that you'd want to include. I think a nice mix of spruce and oak is going to be good for me. So I'm going to want a bit of overhang. There we go, that makes the tower a bit more imposing. I would probably have some vines and stuff hanging off of there. I think already I want to have some of this overhanging there to make it look a bit less flat on the bottom. Because on the bottom it does look very plain. So that gives it a bit of something underneath. It's the thing, you want things to look special. You can't have things looking flat and basic. That's why, like, when you're building houses and stuff, you don't want your basic square or rectangle shape. You want a special shape, something that looks a bit more unique. And so next thing I'm going to work on is, that needs to be a slab. That is unfortunate. I didn't think about that. Again, the importance of planning, and why I should follow my own advice. I could have destroyed the slabs and made them one smaller. I think this could still work quite well. Going to the logs like this. Might just, again, my slabs. I could, again, do something like that to make it a bit less flat. A similar kind of style to what I've done underneath. I'm going to actually do the ones in the middle as well. And that kind of transitions a bit better into the vertical climb. There we go. Now we'll work on a bit of a gradient here. It's a bit fancier. So I'm going to let the spruce flow into some oak. You want to try and make this look as natural as possible, so make sure there's not much of a pattern. The oak is actually a bit brighter than I thought next to the spruce. We'll have a look at it from a distance. Yeah, it looks alright. To make sure I'm getting these facing upwards so they're all facing the same direction. I didn't pick the logs because I think having it on all sides just makes it a bit easier to work with sometimes, especially if part of it's going to be exposed. There we go, and then I'm going to go with a bit of oak slab and work my way inwards, because at the moment I've only gone... Have I even gone inwards? No, I've just gone outwards. That probably doesn't help. And slabs there makes it a bit more natural flowing into the stairs. Right, that does not look good. No. Backtrack. Something you gotta learn, and you'll learn it the hard way with building, is that it takes a lot of experimentation. Doesn't matter how much you plan, there is a lot of tearing it down and starting again. Yeah, that's a bit better. I think before it looked too lateral. I think it does still look a bit too lateral now because of how steep I've made it there, into how not steep, essentially it is now. And I might do a bit of a fade into birch here, because we've done that fade from spruce into oak. To keep that kind of gradient going, it might be wise to push into a kind of a birch. So it's a bit of an alternative method to gradients. I kind of just went randomly before, but here we've got two different separate areas. I'm basically just going to go over it now and make it fade in, whereas before I just kind of did it as I went. Here I'm trying to just go over it separately. I think my gradient with the logs looks a bit nicer, but nevertheless it works just fine. I'm now thinking that this tower is very vertical, and so I'm going to have to make this roof rather vertical as well to match it. Might just fade, do a bit of a gradient again, I know more, going into these logs, because that is going to be just the next brightest block, really. It's a bit more awkward because it's such a small area. It will work. So keep the consistency of the 4 tall there, and I think I'm actually going to go 5 tall instead here. And then come properly inwards for a final spire, which I will use stairs for, if it'll work. No! Oh no! New plan. Minecraft is awkward. Again, the verticality is a bit of a problem here. I've made it quite tall at the bottom, which means I've had to make it very tall at the top. And now it's looking a bit bottom heavy, which sucks, but we'll work on that when we get the vines and stuff in. And now I feel like I need to make this a bit more vertical, so we'll work on that. There you go. You'll learn that building is a lot of trial and error, so be prepared. Yeah, you at least learned a bit about gradients there, about fading into lighter blocks. You want to start darker, move up to lighter. It's a shame we don't have a lighter block than birch, because I could have done a bit more up there. I don't know if I could have done dark oak into spruce into oak into birch, that might have worked, but never mind. It's what I've done now. At least phasing between the planks and the logs gives a bit of a difference, which is nice. And I think giving it the verticality there is very nice, that's worked very well. And now I'll work on the roof here, which again I'm going to give it a bit of an overhang. I like a bit of an overhang. I'm giving it a bit of a pattern here just to make it look a bit more unique. Oh, that works perfectly, actually, I love that. I wasn't expecting it to work so nicely there. Doesn't work as nicely on this though. Not as perfectly there either, no! Bit different to the rest of the pattern, but it works. There we go, that's a bit more unique with how it's been put in there. Now what am I gonna do? Good questions, very good questions. Okay, I'm going to try not to go as vertical with this, but I am still going to try and incorporate some sort of gradient, just to make it look a bit nicer, and give it a bit of colour as it moves upwards, make sure it doesn't look too dull. Like, if you think about what that would have looked like if it was just one solid colour, the spruce all the way up, it would have been very, very dull. I might actually go for that dark oak. I could replace this with dark oak and move into spruce. That could be an idea. You'll learn it's a lot of trial and error. And I will end up saying that a lot. Trial and error is a key factor of building. There we go. I think the dark oak's a bit nicer. Contrasts a bit more from the spire. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with the cobblestone in between, but the contrast with the dark oak's quite nice for now. I do really like what I've done with the slabs all the way around. That's another good tip, is just making stuff look unique. It's giving it a little pattern, something to make it look different from just your standard raising roof. That's the same with the building shape, you know, like I said before. Give it something unique, not just your standard like box or rectangle. Give it a big tower, you know, just to make sure it's not just a flat little thing. And so now I'm going to keep going kind of laterally with the slabs, because I don't want to make it too vertical and make it so that this roof joins with the tower roof. And so I am, I'll leave the inside out now. And I'm again going to go for a bit of that kind of gradient. It's going to be a bit more loose this time, not as rough. Not as, I don't know what my words are. Just make it so it's a bit more sparse, not as full. I'm not quite sure what the right word is. Yeah, make sure you're quite random with this if you're doing gradients and stuff, because you don't want it to look patterned. There's one thing where you don't want patterns to emerge. There we go, that's a bit of something that helps it fade in a bit more. Now, if I am right, yeah, that's the start of a new block. So, I'm going to go for spruce stairs here. Ooh, is that a good idea? Maybe it's not a good idea, actually. I'll try it. So if I can do that, and then pull a spruce slab out of it, it still works, yes. Gosh, curving stairs is incredible. Remember the time in the game when this wasn't a thing? Okay, that has gone quite messy with the stairs. I am going to refrain from such, actually. I think another thing I'm going to do is take out that bit that wraps around the tower, because I don't think that is helping. I don't think we're quite ready to wrap it up with the stairs yet. But I think we could definitely go with spruce slabs again. That's a bit cleaner now, yes. And so now we can top it off. Boom. I think the gradient does make it a bit messy. I'm not sure if I can even consider that a gradient. I'll try it without, see how it looks, and then I can go back to it. Trial and error, trial and error. And now I'm thinking that looks too artificial. There's no winning. I might just try follow the pattern down here and do that. Yeah, because I do like that. It's a bit harder to do there though. Corners have lined up quite perfectly, but other than that, other than the corners lining up, there's not a lot of stuff lining up there. I just do the corners, and that can still look good. And this is a case where we use patterns instead of gradient. There we go, that looks alright. I don't think it's brilliant, but it does work. And besides, I think I'm going to use a bit of moss carpet and cover it up in some places. Not there, obviously. Yeah, and that'll make it look a bit more overgrown. But other than that, I think that is a jolly good shell. And now I'm going to move to a bit of that texturing gradient across the cobblestone, because that looks incredibly dull at the moment. So I get my mossy cobblestone, my tuff, and my andesite. I'm going to start with the tuff and andesite. Be a bit random with this. Have fun. I love the noise it makes when you place tough. I didn't realise it was that different, but I love it. Right, there's the tough done for now. I might add a few little bits every now and then. But one thing I'd like to say very quickly before I move on to the andesite is don't be afraid to overuse your texturing. Be afraid to underuse it. Nobody's going to care whether your base was originally cobblestone, tuff, or andesite. As long as it looks nice and it melds together well, it doesn't matter what is predominant, it doesn't matter whether there's more cobblestone, more tuff, or more andesite, as long as it blends together well. So don't be afraid to overuse things and have like clumps of tuff, because it needs to look more natural than it does artificial. There we go. I think that looks lovely actually. I really like how that has come along. I am actually quite proud of that. I'm now going to move on to mossy cobblestone, which I'm going to use a bit more sparingly, just because this is a lot more contrasting of a colour, mixing the green in there now. So I'm going to be a bit more sparing with this. Hopefully it'll blend in a bit better when I have the moss on there, make it look a bit more overgrown with the vines and stuff. But for now this is going to stand out a bit. There we go. The mossy cobblestone's actually blended in a lot better than I thought it would there. I thought the added colour might stand out a bit too much, but I think the outside of that looks lovely. I think we just need to kind of add a bit more windows like there, and then the outside is going to look absolutely wonderful. So on that note, I'm actually going to do a bit more in here because these look rather plain. But on that note, I'm going to move on to the interior a bit more. Right. First thing, of course, carve out the floor. Not having a grass floor. Right, I'm going to go quite patterned with this floor. I'm going to put a spruce door on because I think the spruce works really well with this aesthetic. I'm going to go for quite a patterned floor here. And one thing I do need to think about is the floor plan I made. Because I did do a bit of a floor plan when I was making this, so I am going to get a nice substitute block, actually yellow. I use yellow in the plan. Why don't I use yellow here? And I'm going to get the floor plan out so that I know how to arrange my floor. There we go. So that is the currently arranged floor plan. I'm actually going to move that down one more, just so it's a bit more visible whilst I'm trying to do the floor. And so now I can plan the flooring around that. Maybe choose different flooring for certain rooms, and make sure this stuff actually works well together. There we go, that's a nice little mini pattern, and it's just started raining, I think. That is loud. But that's a bit darker, so I'm going to go a bit lighter inside of these rooms. I'm going to plan out little doorways, and then I will just use black terracotta to mark out where the walls are going to be. Down here. I've now realised that that's way easier as a floor plan than what I was doing with the yellow concrete, because that actually shows where the walls are going to be. I'm dumb. The walls are going to be there anyway. And I can actually change things a bit now, seeing this. Makes it a bit bigger. That's a little crafting room there. And then this was storage. It's a lot bigger of a contrast there, but that's going to be the difference between chests and then walkway in the middle, so that'll be fine. The bedroom, I wanted to go a bit more unique, so maybe a bit more colourful. There we go, that's a bit nicey. You can have your bed in the middle. There's plenty of room to walk about, and I think that is a lovely little floor plan there. My only problem is this up here. I'm not quite sure how to deal with that. I might just use some stairs, because there is going to be a bit of a stairwell going up through the tower, ideally, so I might just get some cobblestone stairs. Right, that doesn't line up properly there, but stairs are working fine like that, and I think I'm just going to do some more texturing like this on here, just to make it a bit nicer. But you see the contrast between like the basic cobblestone and the texturing here. It looks much nicer with the texturing. That extra bit of colour with the mossy cobblestone really makes it look wonderful. I do love this very, very much. I'm just going to get some stairs in there now. Are there tough stairs? Yes, there are. Yes. Brilliant, that works just fine now. And that goes up the inside as well, so that is perfect. Lovely. So I know I'm just swapping a bit between interior and exterior now, but I am going to move back out to the exterior, I think. So for the little walkway outside, I'm going to go a bit cleaner with some stone bricks going into mossy stone bricks. So I'm going to clear out the path now, following my little plan. And the entranceway to the garden is going to be just there. Again, the moss isn't too powerful here, it just gives it a bit more personality, which is lovely. I'm actually going to bring out the leaves now. So I'm going to put some leaves going up the side, just to make this a bit nicer. I think I will do this as a pattern here, rather than texturing. That just works a bit better. Nice. So for the garden, I am just going to use... Oh, the walls don't go into the leaves, that's annoying. But I'm just going to use the exact same stuff again. Like tough, andesite, cobblestone, moss cobblestone. It just works perfectly. It all blends in so perfectly, I love it. Right, let's work on this garden then. Let's make this a bit more colourful. Work with some moss. Might get some trees, actually. Other leaves, of course. And I might even go green concrete. That might work well. Might be a bit strong though. I think that garden's quite nice. Nothing particularly special about it. One thing I can do, one trick I did learn from Brian, or probably a bunch of other people who did it first, is boom, lights and moss carpets. It works brilliantly, and I absolutely love this little trick, which is why I did the floor mostly out of moss, so that I could do that easily. And that's a nice little thing. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, the little raised floor with the moss carpet does look pretty good. And I did do some leaves climbing up the side of the building. Just supposed to be add to that kind of overgrown theme. I think that's worked quite nicely, and I might do that a bit more going around the back and across the tower. But I think that looks great at the start. And I think I will just leave the path here. I don't think I'll go any further. I think that is lovely for the garden, and I think I might just work now more on that kind of overgrown style around the rest of the building. Okay, that was a lot more bold of a design choice, but I think it turned out surprisingly well. I think it looks a lot nicer on this front side. I think it gets a bit more iffy up here. I'm trying to climb over the top, so I might just get rid rid of that and let it climb into the bottom here instead. That might work a bit better, yeah, I think that's nicer. I think trying to climb over the top into this upper area is where it goes wrong. There we go, I think that's a bit cleaner. There's a bit less elevation on that. I think it doesn't work as well on the top here because of the slabs, where the slabs are, but other than that, we're alright. So I do quite like that as an exterior. I think that has come along surprisingly well. I just need to work on the windows now, which I'll move to the inside to work on actually. There's a bit of... This is the next problem, is the overlapping leaves with the windows. That'll be interesting. Okay, windows was a lot easier than I thought it would be. I'm going to work on some windows for this once I build the staircase. For now, I'm going to work on this interior here. And first thing I want to do is again windows, and I am looking for coloured glass. I'm going to go for a cyan, dark green, light grey. The light grey and the green quite self-explanatory. I wonder if the cyan... Yes, never mind, ignore the cyan. I thought maybe it might work, but no. Yeah, light green. Not even a light green, just a regular green. And that works quite well with the mossy cobblestone and such. And now I've got to think for these walls, I might just do this black terracotta. Though I do prefer that as a bit of a floor plan rather than... this might take me a bit of thinking. Okay, new decision. This nice pale pillars are going to work very well, but they're not going to work very well going up against the slabs on the roof. So my new idea is to instead extend the roof like this, and kind of have that as the roof, and then I can change the roof outside the hallway into the different rooms to be maybe some cleaner colours. There we go, now each room has its own little roof, and I'm going to make the walls out of a few different woods again. And I've just realised that I've been very stupid and done the roof wrong. Tremendous start. We got some nice little stair doorways. Lovely. I really like this. So I'm not going to have any doors because that just makes it harder to move around. So I might do a bit more texturing on this roof bit and then add some appliances and stuff to the inside. And we are very, very nearly finished. There we go, that's most of the interior done. We've got a nice little bedroom here, jukebox, the seating, blah, blah, blah. Just here, I could do like some of like the armor trims and netherite and stuff here, but that is too much effort, and this is about building, not armor. Here, nice little setup with a bunch of different crafting stuff, of course, as many furnaces as possible, because you need them. And nice little seating area here, so all there is left to do now is the tower with a little stairway upwards, and whatever I'm going to do there. Decorated area up here, not too much, but it's something. My second to last thing here is just a few items going upwards. I did use glow item products, but I think it might be too bright actually, so I'm going to move it to regular item frames. Just showcase some fun items on your way up. It's just a nice little addition to put a little something on the walls rather than it being empty. And now the last thing I need to do is lighting, for which I'm going to use the copper bulbs because they are the greatest thing since sliced bread. Oh my goodness, I love them so much. It's just like all the wonders of lighting, just without the problems of having to have like a lever next to it or something. I think I'm going to use the orange because it fits in best here. Use the wax ones. It just fits in best with the colours. Other bright blocks can I use? There we go. That's a nice little thing there in the roof. Lights this up. That's cool. That's quite nice lighting. It's not fully bright down like near the floor level. That is lovely. Copper bulbs are my absolute favourite thing in the whole world. I love them. They're a brilliant addition. And now that is this finished. The Overgrown Cottage. Ooh, wait, no, hold on. Vines. I nearly forgot. I might have to put the tick speed on 0 to stop these from growing actually, which you might not be able to do in your own world, but I'm going to do. There we go. I don't think I added too much there, but it's something. And that leaves it actually finishes fine. I'm not going to do anything more. That has been an hour and 40 of building put into one nice little thing. And I am actually quite proud of that. That's a lot. It's quite nice. I think the only thing is that it's quite top heavy with the tower. That's my only regret here. But other than that, I think this is absolutely beautiful. Great building. Maybe some of the vines are a bit awkward around the back. That's around the back. Nobody cares about around the back. The picture is taken at the front. And then the interior is lovely. It's a nice little interior. But yeah, I love it. We're doing great, and that's all I have. So thank you all very much for watching. Hopefully you gained a little something from this. Although, even though I didn't really teach much, I just kind of went through the building. So yeah, just have a look and enjoy. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this little walkthrough of me building this. The only thing I do regret is the blinds at the back. I should have placed them against the wall like I did around the front, like made them come off. It's one little regret with this building, but other than that, I think it looks brilliant, and I'm really glad I did this. So I'm going to make some more of these. Not quite sure what I'm going to do yet, but hopefully it turns out just as well as this. So apart from that, thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day, goodbye, and as always, stay creative.